Hey, everyone. Welcome to Locked On Lakers for Thursday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers fall flat in Game 5. Can they pick it back up for Game 6? That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. Yeah, I said that right. Always free. It's never going to be behind a paywall. You'd think I say the same damn thing every day. I just have it memorized. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to see the show and hang out with upwards of 16,000 subscribers to the channel, all of whom have been extremely active during the playoffs, this really interesting and exciting first-round series for the Lakers. And a lot of those people are going to be upset on Thursday based on the results from Game 5 on Wednesday. The Lakers lose 116-99. A couple big overarching player stories for the Lakers. Anthony Davis had that offensive game we were looking for, 31 points, 14 of 23 from the floor, to go along with 19 rebounds and 2 blocks. He was a +6 in a game the Lakers lost by 17. Plus minus not always an effective metric, but in this case, I think it does describe what the eye test said. And of course, LeBron James coming off that literally a historic effort in Game 5 or Game 4 through the overtime. He was tired. 15 points, 5 of 17 from the floor. We can start with either guy, Andy. Dealer's choice. You go.
I mean, I guess the more direct story would be LeBron, just because, the game that he was coming off, it wasn't just arguably his signature game as a Laker, certainly a game with any type of stakes. I think even acknowledging that he was part of a championship run, this is something that Steve Mason and I talked about today on 710 ESPN. I was sitting in for John Ireland. Like this game that LeBron had in Game 4 felt like the biggest moment of connection on the court that he had with Laker fans. Like in terms of something that really created like a connective tissue between this fan base and LeBron, because obviously he led a championship run, but that run took place in the bubble, which I don't say to discount it, but the fans were not there. Right. And a lot of this stuff gets built in these huge moments when your stars do this in front of the fans. And then, the following season, they lost in the first round. Until that point, I think arguably the most...
By the way, lost in the first round to half a crowd.
Right. Yes. And I think even before that, arguably the greatest connective point between LeBron and fans directly that way, I think really came from just the immediate aftermath of Kobe's death and LeBron shepherding the organization through that. And
speaking to the crowd in the first home game following Kobe's death.
And the reason I bring this up is because beyond the effect that it had on the game for the Lakers, because LeBron's struggles in this game hurt the team badly, it's really disappointing to see that Game 4 followed up by this. Even if you think there's a certain predictability to it, from an emotional standpoint, it's disappointing.
It is. The whole game was disappointing. But I think you mentioned it. I kind of we talked about this for Wednesday's show. My concern about sort of the institutional advantages that Memphis would have in this game, in terms of the desperation factor, in terms of playing in front of their home crowd, in terms of, oh, by the way, fatigue, because you talk about that predictability with LeBron James. Even if this game was somewhat predictable, it was absolutely 100% predictable, because LeBron, the iconic moments that he built up in that game on Monday were built out of overcoming fatigue. because he was tired on Monday. You could tell he was having trouble. And no, I don't mean this to disrespect Xavier Tillman, who has been awesome in this year. I don't know if he's up for a contract, but man, I hope for Xavier Tillman's sake that he is, because he's another guy who's making himself a lot of money one day. So, but LeBron was tired on Monday in Game 4 and overcame it with those two huge drives, one at the end of regulation and one in the overtime. And the legs did not come back at all on Wednesday. He was dead-legged from the moment this game started, and I think he was mentally tired. I mean, we saw that down the stretch of the regular season where LeBron's decision-making was particularly by LeBron standards, spotty. On Wednesday, he had 5 turnovers to go along with 5 assists. So 1-to-1 turnover to assist ratio with LeBron is almost unheard of. And I think the whole thing is about 85% fatigue. And I was not at all. So I was disappointed. I was a little disappointed that Darvin didn't pull the plug on this thing with 8 or 9 minutes left and get LeBron seated faster. I understand why he didn't, but I kind of wish he had.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the decision-making with LeBron in this game, the 5 turnovers actually don't stand out to me the most. It's the 1 of 9 from 3. And
there's that.
Right, but specifically that stands out to me with decision-making because beyond the fact that you missed 8 of the 9 threes that you tried, LeBron has no business taking 9 threes. Like, he just doesn't. I mean, he doesn't, period. But in a series where he has been horrendous from behind the arc, and to put this in perspective,
are you saying 16.7% is not good, Andy?
I know the standard LeBron holds himself to, and I know it's better than that. But here's the other thing, though, and this speaks to why I think the 1 of 9 is about decision making, through fatigue, but decision making nonetheless, and not just missing the shots. That he was 5 of 17 from the floor means he was 4 of 8 on shots that were not threes.
Mm-hmm.
Those empty possessions, and a lot of them they were not even good threes to begin with. They hurt. And as much as the fatigue is justifiable, like we've said this many times, people should not be doing what LeBron does at his age. There's a reason this is unprecedented. The hurt still hurts, man.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
those misses hurt.
They do. And any player who takes 9 3-pointers and only makes 1 of them is going to be a drag on the offense. Doesn't matter if it's LeBron or anyone else. But I also think, like to your point, the fatigue, the 1 of 9 speaks to the fatigue, both because 9 3-pointers against 17 shots, which means, like you say, he took more from 3 than 2. That speaks to the fatigue because the reason he does that is because he can't get in the lane. Doesn't have the legs to get in the lane. Doesn't have can't put the ball on the floor and drive past people. So, maybe the Lakers have to just drop him in the post. But, Anthony Davis, we'll get to really after the break here, was playing quite well. And so, both on the run, in the moments where he did get the ball on the block as an offensive rebounder, all that stuff. And so, I think the shot chart indicates fatigue. The results from the shot chart indicate fatigue, and just everything about the way he played, you could tell he was tired. And if you're looking for something to be concerned about, and this is the time of year for that because the playoffs are nothing but concern. Since that game 1, LeBron has gone 1 of 8, 0 of 4, 1 of 7, and 1 of 9. So that's quick back of the napkin math here. That is 3 of 30? 16 plus 4, 20, 28. I'm sorry, 3 of 28. I didn't want to make it sound worse than it was.
Well, I mean, that sounds like about 16%.
Yeah. No, I think it's less than that. But like, that's concerning because what did game 1 have that he hasn't had since? 4 and 5 days off or whatever the Lakers had. And so since getting that time off, LeBron has shown again increasing signs of fatigue, and that's it's worrisome for the long-term prospects of the playoff run if they can get through Game 6.
Yeah, look, we've known that fatigue was going to be a thing for LeBron this whole season. It's something that you've had to be guarded against, and trying to offset. And to LeBron's credit, he talked after the game and assessed himself with, quote, "Tonight I was bleep and I'll be better in Game 6. He later added that he thought he was pretty good defensively, but offensively not good at all. He also noted how, as a team, they need to do a better job finding different ways to support each other. And he said it starts with him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if nothing else, you're hearing thoughts after a loss that you don't hear from various Grizzlies after a loss.
No,
you don't
did
hear
Dylan
from
Brooks
Grizzlies.
talk? I didn't get a chance to see that. Did Dylan Brooks speak to the media?
Well, I think he's running out an auditorium.
Yeah,
and like some big speakers. He might be like chartering off 2 or 3 city blocks. They're building a stage for him. Loudspeakers.
He's got a few games worth of things to say. So I'm sure tonight was the night that he was responsible for shutting down LeBron. So all right, let's get to
Luke
AD.
Kennard hadn't gotten hurt. I don't even know if Dylan Brooks would have played much in the second half.
3 of 15. Dylan Brooks. He is the opposite of Austin Reeves and Xavier Tillman. He is costing himself money in this series. So we'll get to AD next.
Locked On Lakers brought to you by eBay Motors. And for a championship team, it is all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. And it's the same thing when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. Side note, my car has been in the shop for like 3 to 4 weeks, just waiting for a specific part to come in. Let me tell you from personal experience, you should go to eBay Motors for parts and accessories and not deal with what I'm dealing with right now. Long or the short, couldn't go to eBay Motors. Insurance, different story for a different day. I hate everybody. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can make sure that every part you need fits right the first time around. And to just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check mark to know the part will fit or your money back. And just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, probably could have gotten the part I need back to me quicker. You'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it is easy to bring home a win when the parts are guaranteed. The right parts. It's not always easy to bring back your car. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Wish I could. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Before we get to Anthony Davis, one interesting thing about this game on Wednesday, it is, look, I mean, I know a lot of people like to frame these things at this point as everything is through the prism of the Lakers. Do the Lakers care enough? Are they focused? Are they unfocused or whatever? Memphis is a really good team that lost 6 times at home all year. And, we saw why. And, the idea that this was going to be a series that the Lakers should be expected to win in 5 games is a little ludicrous. The playoffs are supposed to be hard. The series are not supposed to be short. And that is particularly true, Andy, in a series where the Lakers are the 7 seed, not the 2 seed.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, yes, in the sense that Memphis is a really good team and you can't take that away from them. No, in the sense that the Lakers have played like a team post-trade deadline that if they had this team all year, they wouldn't be a 7 seed.
Right, but it wouldn't make Memphis any. Memphis would still be a 2 or a 3.
I don't disagree with that.
Memphis is really good. Expectation that the Lakers would run through a really good team in 4 or 5 or whatever games is this is the sort of thing that is supposed to happen in the playoffs when good teams play each other. You're going to get games like this where one team is really good because or outplays the other. Memphis is really good, and they on the biggest distinction in Game 5 was that for the first time in this series, Memphis got an and game. We're meaning like they've had a good game from Bane, they've had good games from Ja. They've had, that big game one offensively from Jackson, but they haven't had games yet where two of the three, were really good. And they got that in game five with, 31 from Ja on an efficient 13 of 26, 33 from Bane on an even more efficient 12 of 21. That is really difficult to overcome, particularly, Andy, when the Lakers' bad shooting as a team from 3-point range, 25.5%, continues. That is not a good formula.
No, absolutely not. Like D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, I thought both had a good game tonight when it came to playmaking. But as a backcourt, they combined for 28 points on 24 shots. Like you can't have that, especially on a night where their opposing backcourt combines for 64.
Right. It's just saying everything. Go down the line, Andy, because once you get past Anthony Davis, who is 14 and 23, and we're getting to him in a sec, everyone, the Lakers shot 40% as a team. So, I mean, it's hard to find good stat lines, but, Rui was 4 of 8, which looks good, but he started 3 for 3. And you start going down the line. Russell hit 2 huge threes and a floater in the third quarter, helped bring the Lakers back when it looked like they might have a chance to overtake Memphis. Briefly did by a point. And that evaporated quickly, but D'Lo's some shot making there, and Reeves, like you say, but like it was an inefficient night offensively for the Lakers. Because they still aren't a great offensive team, particularly if they're not generating defense to offense, which they struggle with tonight, and particularly when LeBron is 5 of 17.
I mean, really, too, the 3-point discrepancy was really, really crucial because Memphis overall from the floor wasn't particularly good either. They were 44%, but 35% versus 25% on threes, and that was the difference behind the arc. That's a big deal. Four extra threes in this game combined with just, a few points off turnovers.
Right, and the Lakers turned the ball over a lot.
Yeah, particularly in the first half, they turned the ball over an awful lot. The good news about this team is I don't think this is going to discourage them in any way in terms of their belief in themselves. They know they still have 2 opportunities to get 1 win. LeBron talked after the game about how the crowd is extremely important for just giving you that extra boost. And this is clearly a team that can use it. This also speaks to, by the way, why it was so bad and inexcusable for them to come out so flat in the first half of game 2.
I agree.
Because this was not a game where I thought they came out flat.
No, they came out. They were flat in the sense they were tired.
Right, but I thought they played with urgency and all that stuff. They didn't play well.
They got outplayed, but that doesn't mean they weren't invested.
Right. Game 2, they came out in that first half without the proper investment, and that's what ultimately did them in. And I mean, it could have been possibly, you never know how, the butterfly effect, but it could potentially have been the difference between going to game 6, trying to close out there, and a sweep.
Or right. In a sweep, or in, game 5, you have that flexibility that, you can split on your home floor and still be up. Like there's all kinds of and the difference in conservation of legs. I mean, just all of it makes a difference when you give away games in the playoffs. It can bite you. And this wasn't a giveaway. Wednesday wasn't a giveaway. No, but game 2 was. It was at the very least. It was a giveaway of an opportunity. By the way, Department of Corrections and Retractions, I misspoke. The Lakers weren't winning 75-74. They were down by a point after coming back from a big deficit. But the rest, then everything else after that, where the Grizzlies go on immediately. This was not a game, Andy, where you could go to the bathroom, because if you went to the bathroom, the score radically changed very quickly in this game. Like the runs came fast. And most of them favored Memphis in the second half. If you were looking for something to hang your hat on, Anthony Davis gave the Lakers the performance that they were looking for offensively. Unfortunately, nobody else came along with him. but it was still really good to see AD get loose in transition on the offensive glass, different moments down low, as an offensive threat. This was a high quality game against an excellent defensive team.
Yeah, 31 points, 19 rebounds, 4 of those rebounds on the offensive glass, 2 blocks, a steal. LeBron after the game talked about how he thought the difference with AD was just he was really aggressive for all 35 minutes that he played. And, we talked about this actually for Wednesday's show with AD. Obviously, there are ways that you can scheme to get him better looks, to try to put him in better positions, all that stuff. But some of this is eliminating any hesitation, any, as I put it, pondering while he's on the court. When he gets the ball, just go. Just go and do something.
Right. And that something can be draw a crowd and pass. So that something can be but do.
Right. And this was a game where I thought he did a lot of doing. And then in the meantime, defensively, look, say AD's offense has come and gone in this series for a variety of reasons, some of which I think has to do with AD, some of which has to do with Memphis is a really hard team to score against down low. His defense has been otherworldly this entire series. AD has been a freaking beast on that end.
And, the big move that was criticized by Ham in this game was actually taking AD out with that Lakers, the loss of that momentum, 75-74, the Lakers pull almost all the way back. AD subbed out for 90 seconds. And in that 90 seconds, Memphis pushed the lead back out, and that was basically it.
Pushed it back out to 8. We can talk about this some coming up next, but also maybe for Friday's show, because it wasn't just in that moment that AD took a rest and everything fell to bleep. That happened in the first quarter as well. And it's happened a lot throughout this series. And I fear, Brian, that Darvin Ham is not taking enough lessons from this pattern, because it feels like the sample size is large enough to recognize some changes are needed.
How about a nice game of chess? All right. Well, let's get into that next and look forward a little bit to Game 6 on Friday.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Ibotta. And if you're buying groceries, doing a little school shopping, maybe even getting yourself something nice, you've earned it. You're already spending this money, so why not get some cash back for your trouble? With Ibotta, you can earn cash back on every shopping trip, from grocery to personal care to produce. Just link your loyalty account or upload your receipt after you shop, and you get your cash back. It's that easy. The average Ibotta user earns $120 a year in real cash back. In groceries, you can earn 2.5 times that in real cash back from Ibotta. And again, real cash back, not points that, let's be honest, nobody ever uses. Nobody even understands how to get their points and access them. And you can earn cash back on hundreds of different online brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. And right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 for just trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKED when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store, download the free Ibotta app, and use the code LOCKED. That's Ibotta, IBOTTA, in the Google Play or App Store, and use the code LOCKED.
Look, one of the things about the playoffs that makes it so fun is that it is so hard. It'd be better on everybody's blood pressure, better for everybody's heart if the Lakers just rolled through every series, rolled through these games or whatever, because then we wouldn't have to worry. You don't let your mind wander. You don't it is a kind of an amazing place to be in, that you could say Lakers have an opportunity for a Game 6 win on their own floor to advance to the second round of the playoffs. You told me that in December. I'd have said you were crazy, Andy. Or at the very least, I would have taken that bet deal in a heartbeat over what's behind door number 2.
Absolutely. But here's the thing, though. Lakers are in the playoffs. Laker fans are accustomed to success in the playoffs. And you know what? as long as you're here, might as well win some games and dominate.
Sure.
If you can't, like I remember the 2001 championship run where the second of the Kobe Shaq three-peat, where they went 16-1 in that run. The first loss came in game 1 against the Sixers, where Iverson had 48. That was the step over, over Ty Lue. And that was the first game in, 13 attempts that they had lost. And it felt weird. It
did.
felt
weird.
But
there was zero. I mean, nobody felt like that was going to be like, oh man, Sixers might have discovered something. Like everybody knew what was coming, and it did.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter though. Like you get greedy. The playoffs are all about getting greedy. To use the Darvin Ham parlance, you get greedy.
But it's funny, like, you start back in like even series that weren't close, like the Lakers beat Orlando, was that 5 or 6? That was in 5, right?
Yep.
But that could have been like those games inside that series were some games that could have swung either way.
Courtney Lee missed that layup.
Right. Stuff like that, the Fisher threes, and we talked about for Wednesday. It's just, I mean, it's what makes it fun is that like, everything, technically everything, but like everything kind of rests on game 6, on the Lakers coming home, defending their home floor. And D'Lo after the game did not do that thing where the pressure's on them because we have one more opportunity. No, he's like, all the pressure is on us to win.
No, that's not what he said. He actually, I thought he had a better answer than that. He was asked if there's more pressure on the Lakers during game 6 to win it and avoid going back to Memphis, or if there's more pressure on Memphis because they have to win or else their season's over. He just responded, it's all pressure. Because that's actually the right answer. That's the correct answer.
Mm-hmm.
It's the truthful answer.
It is.
The pressure never goes away.
Right.
I don't care how good your team is. The pressure never
But this
goes
notion
away.
that the Lakers, can, like there isn't, because the Lakers aren't in the elimination game, because like, no, like this is, you do not want to go back to the other team's floor for game 7, having lost 2 games in a row with a 38-year-old LeBron James and all these other things. It'd still give the Lakers a good chance to win the game, but that ain't where you want to be. And, Friday is going to be, if you thought the atmosphere for games 2 and 3, 3 and 4 were intense, Friday is going to be bonkers unless, Memphis can take the crowd out, because, it's also a nervous time for fans. So, I mean, that's just, game 6 is why you do this stuff. It's why, you are a fan. It's why you're invested. It's why you put up, and I am extremely excited.
Here's why I no matter what happens, here's why I don't think the crowd is going to get taken out of it. I was at game 7, as were you, Lakers, Celtics, when the Lakers spent a lot of that game playing really bad. Kobe, by his own admission, kind of wigged out under just the magnitude of this moment and everything resting on it. And the crowd is what actually got the Lakers and Kobe back into that game.
There were moments where the crowd was taken out of it, where the crowd was a little stunned, where the crowd was quiet.
But they never stopped, though. As long as the Lakers don't stop, the crowd will not stop.
Oh, and at the first sign of activity, they'll be able to bring it back. I think the Lakers, there's a reason that teams are much more successful on their home floor in the playoffs in basketball. And, the Memphis has not been a good road team. That doesn't change just because they won game 5. I mean, I think, the thing that worries me is mostly the shooting, and it's LeBron and his legs. But I feel like the Lakers are going to throw all of it at this game on Friday, and I think they're going to come out with I think LeBron is going to come out with an incredible sense of purpose. I think AD is going to come out with an incredible sense of purpose. I'm expecting that they'll win, but I'm going to be nervous until they do.
It was interesting. AD was asked after Game 5, just how he's feeling because
he had a hard fall late in the game.
That hard fall, the hip.
Get off the floor, man.
He started to say something about getting himself, right to make sure he can play, and then he said, "Though it doesn't matter, I'm playing anyway." Like
right.
Nothing is going to keep him off the court, save like a body cast. And he also said, he'll play 48 minutes if he has to. Like, to the point you were making, LeBron also sounded like somebody that could have used a crowd boost tonight and is looking forward to a crowd boost. D'Angelo Russell has talked about how great this crowd has been. Austin Reeves has talked about how great this crowd has been. And actually, this is something that I think matters. Reeves recently talked about how this group really cares about each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think stuff like that matters when you're trying to get that last push. You're trying to get yourself just over that last step where you can breathe again. And, you're starting to feel a little bit of mounting pressure, the desire not just to win, but to play for each other. I think stuff like that matters.
Yeah,
and this is a group that seems like they really do enjoy playing with each other and enjoy playing for each other.
So yeah, we'll get into a lot of the strategy, the some of the things.
I got one.
I got one. I was saying, but I think for Friday's show, we'll discuss a lot of the things that need to change from Game 5 to Game 6. Some of the things that Darvin Ham ought to be doing or might want to consider. Anthony Davis said, "I'll play all 48." It'd be interesting to see how tight the rotation gets generally, and then who's in it, who's not, how many minutes LeBron plays, how many minutes Anthony Davis plays. And then there are the practical things. So there's like the intangibles, like you're talking about, Andy, like the intangible stuff. I think the Lakers are really well suited. And then the tangibles, we were wondering how many games in a row could the Lakers win shooting under 30% from 3-point range? The answer is 2. After, they got this third game in a row where they've done it. And you can't, and so with the law of averages, even if the Lakers aren't a great 3-point shooting team, the law of averages says, the next one's going to be 33%. And that isn't good, but 33 is a lot better than 25. And that could be the difference. So we'll see. All right. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to see the show, hang out, participate with, and converse with a bunch of Lakers fans and talk to us as well. 16,000 subscribers on that thing, more or less. And we are really excited for Friday. It's going to be a barn burner. And we'll get you ready for it tomorrow.